A sniper who can hit his target from 3 kilometers away, the world's largest spy agency, has lost its hands behind it. But this Bahru Pia, every time he changes his face and beat them, its target is so accurate that it charges millions of dollars for a hit. Today, this sniper is on a new mission. Standing in front of the mirror in the room, he is constantly trying to make a single sound. In fact, this house belongs to the old man whom this predator has already taken. Then he went into the building of his company, and when the machine could not catch him, he reached his hunting cabin on the 13th floor. But then a girl came up there. She picked it up. Her real target started running down the stairs, but the snapper waited for the right time and lifted it on her feet in one shot. It was easy to kill her, so leaving her craving was the first part of her master plan. When the police and the ambulance arrived, the sniper jumped off the roof and disappeared from the building in a small hotel in the city. When he takes off his mask, we see his real face. The next morning, the whole of Germany was caught in the crossfire. Paste's son was Alias. As soon as the news spread, Mainframe headed to the hospital to see his son. But did he know that all this was a deliberate move of the sniper, that he shot the son of the Mainframe so that the Mainframe got out of his bill? Now he is in a building near the shabby sniper hospital. Then he turned to his magic suitcase and turned it into a deadly rifle. For the actual shot, he did a testing fire. The first shot took a little bit away from the target. Then he finally set his scope, and the second shot hit the middle of the target straight. Now he was fully prepared as soon as he arrived at the hospital in the middle of the Mainframe. Fest heavy service, there was a view worth seeing, but not so much vigilance could prevent it from ripping. An unmistakable bullet from a sniper that landed in Netaji's car ripped his head. Given in the moment, there was silence of death, and then there was a cry. Sniper quickly made his gun-back suitcase fleet. Set a time bomb under, and there was no 211 until P. When he arrived, he had lost his identity and his car in the crowds of the city. His mind was so quick that he had already parked his real car a few miles away. Shortly after the snapper left, his old car was reduced to ashes by an explosion. Within a few hours, the news of the murder spread around the world. Mi-6's top agent Bianca was also shocked to hear how someone could hit a stake target from such a distance. The world record for the time was 3,540 meters, and this snapper had shown the impossible. On the other hand, our snapper had left Munich and arrived in Nuremberg to avoid the fear of being caught. He bought an expensive antique from there so that he could give the police a solid excuse. The police were checking everyone's passport and suit. But the hunter has his own. All of them were thrown into the desert. And all of them were thrown into the desert. The forensics team was shocked because they didn't find the gun that fired. Experts said that the barrel of a sniper rifle is at least 770 millimeters long. So did this sniper have a gun that could have 2 pieces? If the barrel was made into 2 pieces, then the risk of being hit was 100 flags. It wasn't just a matter of a Saharan man making such a gun. That person would be Janes. Bianca had an old file of a gunmaker named Norman Stoke. He was the man who had been experimenting for years with making secret guns that no one could catch. Bianca doubted that this snapper's unique rifle was made by someone. Bianca got the lead on the case, and she went out to solve the bloody bales. Our snapper was now roaming the streets of Paris. Through the dark web, she was getting offers from around the world. The next day he was given a large sum of money, and he was given a large sum of money. Who owns UDC company and billionaire tech inventor Ole Dasha Charles. To finish, he wanted to pay $100 million for this project. When she heard how big the money was, the neighborhood didn't listen and asked for time to speak to her boss until she disappeared from there like a sniper wind asking something else. Then Bianca arrives in Ireland and meets her old news Alison. Alison was the brother of the gunmaker Norman. Bianca threatened to intimidate her so that she could find Norman, but Alison showed cunning and disappeared by turning off her phone. Bianca was no less playful. She caught Alison's weak partner, her daughter Emma. Inca falsely accused Ayama and put her in jail so that her mother, Elsin, could go to the police. The story now reaches the beautiful Spanish city of Cadiz. After wreaking havoc in Germany and France, the killer has finally returned to his home. Here we find that the snapper's name is Alexander. Alex's home is nothing less than a castle where his mother-in-law Nori has no idea that her husband, whom she considers to be a Sadhar businessman, is actually the most expensive hitman in the world. Bianca takes her to the hospital in an ambulance and breaks her life on the way. Bianca is deeply shocked because she didn't know that she was a heart patient. Alex's professional work has also deteriorated. When the German mission asked for money, the client abused her instead of giving her money. Recently, he got 3 opponents and 60 million euros in advances just to negotiate a deal to kill Charles. Now the question was, why did they want to kill Charles after all? From this app, you could look into anybody's bank account, who has the money and where it's coming from. Everything becomes public. The same river app blew up the rich all over the world, and that's why Alex was being given a contract to end it. The next morning, Bianca gets a call from Spiro. Actually, it was Allison who Bianca named this code. Olizan was terrified of the arrest of his daughter Iman. He was very suspicious that this was all Bianca's trick. Bianca cleverly lied that she had no hand in it. Bianca knew that Emma was no longer in this world, so she was using this truth as a seal. On the other hand, Alex's daughter's birthday was being celebrated in Spain. The whole priest was gathered, but Alex's mind was somewhere else. Then a notification comes on her laptop. Client had again paid 3/10 of 60 million euros. Ali Doc Charles had now reached a major level. Alex felt that if this mission succeeded, he would leave this bloody fog forever. Leaving his daughter's birthday party in the middle of it, he began to leave the household wondering what was the end of it. Alex's mother-in-law walked her out of the airport and Alex walked in before her eyes. But the twist in the story came when Alex walked out the other way to the airport. Because he had to get other passports out of his locker, he agreed to see Nori had stopped to buy flowers at a shop on the pass, and he saw Alex get into a taxi. The ground slipped under Nori's feet. Alex had lied to him and his phone was off. Then, when the woman came to her house, she became very angry with her daughter. Allison cleverly persuaded Larry to ask for help from his brother Norman, the same gunmaker. Larry called Norman several times, and there was no answer. Allison was just waiting for the same number. In the evening, she trapped Larry and took him once and stole Norman's number from his phone. Bianca was having dinner with her family. Got the message. It contained Norman's number. Bianca did not even cross a bridge. Leaving her daughter and dinner in the middle, she went straight out to trace the number. At the meeting of Alex in this unknown neighborhood in a garden in Paris at 10 o'clock at night, Alex gave strict instructions. The woman told that her boss is ready for the deal, so that there is a condition that the work should be done before the 28 date. In fact, on the 28 date, Charles was about to launch his river project, and before that his game was over. By the way, Alex didn't work in a hurry, but the money was about 800 million rupees, so big that he couldn't stop the deal. 20 million rupees in advance and the same million rupees were worked out. Target's code for this machine was named Nimrodin, and Alex's name was Jackal. He was also a master at disposing of his blood money legally. On the other hand, so he didn't pick Bianca had reached Belarus with her team because Norman's location was found in the forest there. Bianca and her 3 Jambaz companions were heading towards an old house based on the signal from the headquarters, but they do not know. That's how they were in the house. There was a loud bang and one of his companions got stacked there. Before anyone could manage, Norman also shot the other officer. Now only Bianca was left. It was clear that Norman was on his. There was a traitor in the department who was informing him of the bridge. Bianca chased Norman's shots rang out from both sides. But taking advantage of the next morning, Norman ran away. Larry's world left. They learned that their daughter, Emma, was no longer in this world. It's a mill. When the suitcase was discovered in London, everyone was shocked. It was no ordinary suitcase. It was a moving snapper rifle. Bianca took it from the airport to Mix's headquarters, but no scanner caught it. It was a winning proof of Norman's skill. The statement assumed that if Jackal was to reach out, he would have to catch the gunmaker, while Jackal was now in the mood to receive his old money. In fact, he had a headache, and as soon as he went to the neighborhood to get medicine for him, Jackal put a dangerous virus in his computer in the blink of an eye. With the help of that virus, he hacked the entire system and got the information he was looking for. Today was a great day because the killed leader was a tribute meeting of the mainframe fest. The whole family and the security forces were there. Jackal quietly removed the real driver from the path and became the driver himself and sat on the steering of Alias's car. Alias felt that he was in the security circle, but as soon as the convoy of trains came out, Jackal suddenly got the chance to turn the car apart from the path. The security guards running behind were surprised. Inside the car, Elijah started screaming, "Who's who like you?" Call turned around and showed his face, Elijah's city. Petty disappeared. Yes, it was Elijah who saved Alex from killing his own father. He not only refused to pay, but on the chat. Was also abused because Elks had to work. Elias also shot Elias and used him as a fodder. Began to plead and ready to pay every price. Just before the guards arrived, Alex blew up the car and disappeared like smoke. Larry became suspicious of his father, Allison. When he checked Allison's phone, he realized that he had informed Norman. In a rage, Mad Larry strangled his own mother to death. The second in Nori's suspicion in Spain was now turning into belief. He started searching the house and found a rhinoceros. When the distant brother looked at the map of the house, he found a secret room in the bedroom, hidden behind a mirror, hidden behind the door of the room. There was a high-tech lock on the door of the room, while Alex had the money from the next machine, and he got the news that his target talent was going to Alex meant for the Jackal talent, that the home security system alarm came on his phone. Beck was worried about what his priest would think of him now. He was on the way when a pickup driver hit his car. When the police searched the car, they found a gun in the bag. Within 2 seconds, Jackal made the whole scene look like they had hit each other, and by erasing their fingerprints, he came out as if nothing had happened. The story now reveals the faces of those who hired Jackal for this bloody game. They found out what Jackal had done to his old client, his boyfriend's son. The clients were now afraid that this sink of Jackal would not jeopardize their mission with the river project. The call was monitored. Meanwhile, there was a terrible game going on in London. Bavinka thought that Allison was coming to see her, but in fact her husband Larry was texting from Allison's phone. Larry was blind to avenge the death of his father. As soon as Bianca arrived, Larry fatally stabbed her with a knife. Bianca somehow saved her life and called the police. Larry was surrounded. He jumped out and jumped on a board in the canal. When the police arrived at Allison's hotel, they found her body. The last link from Bianca's hand to Norman was broken. Now for the first time we meet the person who wants to destroy the whole world. Old Doc Charles Owen. This Arab leaf is luxuriating on private island by his head of security. Informed that his life was in danger at Talon's concert, but Old Doc. Then he turned his back. Then he went to the other side of the house. He was like a hunter measuring every corner and angle from which he could put Ali Doc to sleep. His greatest strength was his recognition. A new face with each machine. A new name. But this time in this theater in Talon, when he was doing his machine's Reiki on the theater's ceiling, the sliding ceiling suddenly opened. Jackal's collar wore down, and he was about to fall down, so he grabbed a cable, and the cable started to break with his weight, and his mobile also fell down, and somehow he climbed back up. After the concert ended, he sought help from Raj Miss, a security guard there, and took his phone and called his fallen mobile. Some lucky guy got a phone call, and on the same pretext, Jackal befriended this guard as Peter, and on the other hand, the statement came to the most dangerous and retired snappers in the world. His question was the same. Who can hit the stake from a distance of 3,500 meters? The answer came up with the same According name. To the records of the device, 10 years ago in a bomb explosion in Kabul killed his entire team. The bodies were so badly burned that it was impossible to recognize. Bianca was now beginning to doubt whether Dugan survived the explosion. Is he the same person who is dancing around the world today as a Jackal? On the other hand, Bianca was burning in a fire of extracting Dugan's old files. He took a new SIM card and contacted his brother Norman. It shows that in the last attack, Larry just had to get revenge on Bianca in the evening. As soon as Bianca returned home, she saw that her daughter Jasmine was in Larry's possession. Larry was about to kill Jasmine. That Bianca in the blink of an eye broke Larry's knee with her bullet. Jasmine survived and Larry was arrested. Bianca strangled her until she ogled Norman's whereabouts. Larry explained that Norman was hiding in a white building near a stables on the outskirts of Budapest. Bianca informed her boss, but because the area was large, it was going to take time for them to get there. He wanted a gun that could dodge the world's most advanced metal detector, an ultra-sensitive scanner. He immediately approached Norman. Norman's hand was injured, so he forbade it at first. When Jackal agreed to help him build the gun himself, he agreed. Norman took him to his Gap residence, which was an old George building on the outside and a fortress of high-tech cameras and weapons on the inside. An old sniper rifle caught a glint in Jackal's eyes. It was clear to him that he was in the streets of the army. The master plan Norman put forward was his idea of a fractured boat. Inside the gun, all parts could fit the most increasingly selected airport ultra-sensitive scanners. Jackal wanted most of the guns to be plastic. Norman showed his craftsmanship and explained how to make a light metal barrel that could fire 7 or 8 bullets comfortably. It was enough for the decal. Both worked. Norman Coates spoke and Decal kept typing. After 5 hours of hard work, the printing coat was produced, and then the machines were put on the print for the next 10 hours. At midnight, the AI found the location of the bat Bianca post. And her team set out on a foreign mission. By the next morning, the fractured boat was ready. Norman taught Jackal to assemble the gun. Jackal went through the woods to test it. After a night of exhaustion, Norman fell into a deep sleep. Jackal hit a watermelon and started testing a little off target, but in the third attempt he set the coupe on a tailstick and finished the job he was returning to when his eyes fell on the trunks moving towards the building. Jackal sat at a teapot near the gate and began to watch the spectacle as the cars stopped. They cut the power to the whole area so that the CCTV cameras would be turned off. The tackle informed him the guests had arrived again and deleted all the evidence and got out of there. Norman deleted the gun prints again, but it was too late by then. MI6's agents had entered. Norman started firing on them in response to the attack, and he fell around and was caught by Bianca when she was at Niedermann's Friend Fest. Asked about the murder and that gun, Norman gave a silent search. Bianca also got the goods of another person there during Bianca. Understood that Shooter Jackal was also here, and this stuff belongs to him. Then she said to him, no one else will catch him but his brother Larry. Bianca and his team sensed that they understood that Jackal was around, and he silenced Norman so that he could not swallow his rule. Only then a young man looked at Jack. Jackal took a horse from the stables without any time, and at the speed of the wind. He ran away and the cars of Micha were chasing him and the bullets were constantly. Seeing the fate of the Jackal while running away from the twig of a tree. Stuck horse. Now the fight was in the darkness of the dense forest, Jackal from there. Bianca was looking for him like crazy, but the Jackal took advantage of the darkness and jumped into a pool. Bianca emptied the entire magazine on the pool water in anger. Akihara Jackal arrived at an old warehouse some distance from there where he was keeping animal feed. He wasn't giving up. He fell into a deep sleep there. But then the owner of the property, Morgan, looked at him. Morgan thought the Jackal was a thief and imprisoned him in the same warehouse. In the morning, Morgan arrived at the warehouse and began to threaten Jackal not to suffer the next time, so he gave it to him. Then he looked at Jackal's ungrateful raffle. His mind changed. Jackal offered to give him money. And Morgan realized that his hands had gotten a bad one, so he called his brothers and his brother tore up the police cordon and Morgan was eating sweets and being rude to Jackal. But when the opportunity arose, he shot Morgan. He was running away with his belongings in Morgan's car. His brothers came there. Morgan's brothers saw his body and fired bullets at Jackal. but in front of a professional sniper they found out where he was. One of them was killed and the other boy was taken to be a slave so that he could show him the right way out of the city. Jackal's stone-like heart as he sees his family photos on the mobile screen. Melted, he made a call to his wife Nuri from the same phone. Jackal apologized to Nuri for his every lie he told that he is in old age, and send him from that secret room of bedroom to change stuff, Nuri B. After cutting the phone, Jackal left the boy alive. After a few hours, Jackal reached a hotel in Budapest with Nuri luggage. Jackal didn't want to put him in more danger, so he asked Nuri to go back. Jackal made it clear that some powerful people were behind him, and he had to get out of here anyway. He changed his disguise and evolved into a form that was impossible to recognize. Bianca was also on the same flight when she saw Nuri flying home at Budapest airport, while Jackal was flying to Tallinn to fulfill her mission. Jackal recognized her immediately. Bianca had received a report from the CIA that Jackal was now going to target Ali Dog. Charles. The CIA had recorded Jackal and Sophia's conversation, but their recognition was still a secret. As soon as the talent arrived, everyone headed to their respective destinations. Jackal didn't waste time, called straight to the security guard Rajmos, who made her friend. Rajmos was surprised to see Dame there. Peter was going to spend the money. In the same way, the master Jackal overwhelmed Rajmos so much that he agreed to let her stay at his house for the night. The next morning he met Jackal's Sophia for the last time. I have to get my money back on time after work. On the one hand, Jackal was dealing millions of rupees. On the other hand, his Sala in Spain stole a large sum of money from Nori's house. Nori had no idea that his brother was robbing him. He told himself an architectural engineer and said that he wanted to study the texture of the theater. But he said that what he had to do was do it today because the theater was going to be locked down from the next day. Meanwhile, MI6 prepared a Calping sketch of Jackal and sent it to Alidak's company UDC. There was no response from there. In the evening, Jackal lied to Rajmak that he had a flight and left home. But in fact, Jackal took his entire kit and reached the theater. The scanner bopped at the entrance. The concert gate, began, Jackal cleverly, and in the midst of the noise, Jackal sneaked up the ceiling and hid in a very narrow path. Now he made it for the next 44 hours. The Jackal had to manage his thirst and his natural needs in the same narrow place. The next morning, the theater was locked down. The service was so tight that Biang passed over the Jackal herself. As Uladag Charles stage, but Jackal came from an ATM card which he had worn and made a knife. Stacked the guards, but only then each other. Shooter fired at UDC, which hid the target of Jackal and people. In the same stampede, Jackal escaped to hide his identity. From there, the story reaches Afghanistan 10 years back, where we find out that Jackal is actually the British Army's top sniper, Alexander. Duggan and his teammate Gray were the best team in Wortman. Mi-6's hands have been taken by Jackal's urine samples and DNA. While Jackal's failure, his boss Oneferb is furious. Mi-6 also found Duggan's file that the army kept top secret. Dugan and Gari took a hatching party outside the army for money, and then during a drive where they had to catch Najib Khan alive in a volcanic valley. Heavy blood was shed and several innocent people were killed. The knee left Dagan in a state of shock, and he began to be drowned. According to the file, Dagan's entire unit in Afghanistan was killed in an explosion on April 3rd. Dugan had bombed his entire unit so that he could die in the eyes of the world, and he fled deep into the depths. Now he had become the world's greatest predator. UDC's home, Wellmarine Island, was like an idyllic fortress with a backdrop of drones and high-tech sensors. Behanka wasn't willing to give up, but her boss, Ajabil, closed the case. Behanka quit the job and went out to find Banka. The same Jackal arrived in Spain and told his father-in-law Nori his origins. "My name is Alex Gender Duggan." He promised that this was the last thing he would do, and then they would start all over again. Nori's brother had a business meeting with a powerful Don Jimmy from Spain. Shot this Don from a distance and then arrived in Croatia for his real mission. Norman's knitted sniper gun with a gamble was perfect. The Jackal tracked the floating UDC from 2 miles away, and as soon as he came up to breathe, the Jackal's bullet opened his skull. The whole island was rattled. The Jackal escaped the police's nose tackle. Bianca thought she was going to catch Jackal, so she didn't know she was trapped in a death trap herself. When Jackal arrived at her house, Bianca and Vince were sitting there in an ambush. Jackal took advantage of the darkness and took Vince off the death trap. Bianca gave him her real name, Alexander Duggan. When he saw his son and his wife, he went to the house of his father, and then to the house of his mother. Dugan's accident happened, and he still survived. Today, the Jackal is on the streets of Hungary looking for Nuri and to take revenge on those who did not give him money but tried to kill him by accident. The hunt is not over.